So I would like to tell you my story, and hopefully it will be short enough for you guys. In all reality, I'm not a person who actually shares too much. So since I've started this business, the one thing, once people heard everything that I've gone to, they have actually inspired me to tell the story. And I tell the story not for anyone to feel sorry for me, because that's just wrong. And just so you also know, feeling sorry for animals is also very wrong too, because they feel the same way that we do. So think about that when someone's all over you. Oh, it's so too bad. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So hopefully this story will inspire you, whether you've already gone through it yourselves in your own story way, because you know what? Nobody is exempt from having a story that has been hard. We have all had things that we've had to deal with. Life is not easy, but oh my gosh, life is so flippin' amazing. And for myself, I've come from a place with my single mom, who is my everything. We were poor, poor, poor. We moved 25 times as kids, just because, again, being poor, where do we go sort of thing. And I have loved every flippin' moment of my life. There is nothing that I regret in this world. So for me, it was so hard because my mom was my everything. She was my best friend. She was my business partner. She was, well, my mom. And we laughed all the time. Everything that we started as a business, we had so much fun creating. My mom was all about, you got to spend money to make money. Yet she had no money. She was a woman who kind of gave the strangers her shirt off her back. She was just that kind of woman. And you either loved Faye or you didn't love Faye sort of idea. So when my mom got sick in 2010, in December, it was really hard because one thing she had always said, I'm going to die really young. And I never liked her even talking about that because she was like 64. So she starts getting sick. We still don't know to this day exactly what happened, but we had like 6 months, well, I had 6 months of where I'm trying to help my mom and be a part of her life as her next journey is going to be ending here in this world. So, you know, it's so amazing how connected we were because we as the family could be sitting at home having supper at the table, and there would be something that was hitting me, something that I knew was wrong. And instead of calling, I would go over to her house. And yeah, she'd either be stuck in the tub or she'd be halfway in her bed and on the floor. And, you know, she was crying, and it was a sad, woo, I have not cried in a long time about this story. So anyways, so it was right timing for me to always come by and see what was going on. Now, the one thing my mom never wanted is to die in a hospital, which she did. And she never wanted to, again, have all those bathroom problems because she was embarrassed by that, which she did. When she was in the hospital, I'm still trying to run, and at the time, let me tell you, I was calling it a stupid business because I could not comprehend for the life of me why this business would not work. Like, I had this Siksika Youth Medicine Lodge, but nothing else that we were doing, nothing was working for us. So I couldn't comprehend this. So this is 2 years. Now I've got my mom dying, and of course, we need to be with my mom. We have to, and the girls were so tight with her too. I remember one time I came into her hospital bed, and she's so frail. She's in the hospice now. And I don't think I've ever cried so hard in my life because I didn't want to say goodbye yet. I am crying and aching in this pain, and she still hugged me with her little frail arms saying, it's okay, hon, it's okay, you're going to be fine. So June the 1st, 2011, this is my year from hell. So we are having our EAL program going on. I'm getting ready. Interesting, though, this is on a Wednesday. I called the vets on Sunday because I'm looking out my kitchen window, and I see that my horse, Buddy, does not look right. There was just something wrong with the way he was standing, so I asked if the vets could come and take a look at him. But my vet at the time said, well, first of all, Carrie, is there dirt on the side of him? And I'm like, yeah. She said, you know what, hon? He's probably just fallen. He's just a little bit in shock. Don't worry about it. So the program is all ready because I'm still trying to juggle this stupid business and figuring out what's happening. I go out to get my horse, and as soon as I turn, I see Buddy laying. And I know with all my heart he's dead. I never even went ever and even looked at him. I knew he was dead. So I go running back to the house. I'm bawling my face off. I call the vets. I'm like, oh my gosh, that horse I wanted you to come see. Yeah, well, he is dead. What am I supposed to do? So they said, well, you got to call that meat processing truck. I'm like, me? Like, I can't even comprehend this. I haven't ever had a horse die, and what do you do with that? So anyways, I call the meat processing truck. In the interim, I go back up to the hospital for my last time to cry on my mom's shoulder about this death that has just happened. I couldn't even stay with my mom the day she died because her body was horrid. Like, I know people have stayed with their people when they've died, but hers was shaky. She had a black tongue. She didn't even look like her. And I can stay with that. Her, I could not stay with. So anyways, I cry my tears off. I go and I pick up my girls because my girls were so close to Mom, so they needed to be a part of this journey. And Buddy, because it was one of my girls' horses. So I pick them up from school. They come home. They say goodbye to Buddy. They're laying on him, saying their goodbyes, and it was so beautiful to watch, but I couldn't be a part of that. Then the meat processing truck comes, and he goes, I'm sorry, ma'am. But he said, I can't go get your horse. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I will sink if I drive into your field to get the horse. I'm like, well, what are we supposed to do? He said, if you can drive the tractor and move the horse for me, I can put him in the truck, sort of idea. I'm like, nope, 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 nope. I cannot do such a thing. So I said, could you just give me a couple of minutes? I'm just going to drive down the road, see if one of my neighbor friends is around, and maybe he can do the tractor for me. Nope, first neighbor, nope. Second neighbor, nope. So here I'm driving back. I'm like, okay, lady, you got two choices. You either look at your dead horse all night and all morning long, or you just do it yourself. So I say to the guy, okay, I will do this, but I will not look. I cannot look at how you're going to tie this horse up for me to move. And all I will do is just continually look at you. When you tell me to leave, I will not see anything. No problem. So I drive him over to what I call now death row, because, of course, 2011 was the hell of the year. So anyways, we get this all done. Everything's fine. That night I get a phone call from the hospital from my aunt. My mom has passed away. So, of course, you know, you're never ready for it. Even when you know it's happening, even when it's the sudden, we all go through that pain of losing that human being that we want to touch again, that we want to feel and laugh with, right? So, okay, so all this is going on. 3 days later, my horse, Charlie. Because remember, so I lose my mom, and I lose 4 horses in 8 weeks in 2011. This is a year I've never felt in my entire life on this earth. I felt numb. There was a feeling, and again, I still love life, don't get me wrong, but I was so numb, even Carolyn trying to call me and trying to keep my spirits up. So every time I called Carolyn, I'm like, I've got another horse, he's gonna die. And she would say, oh no, he's not. I'm like, oh yeah, he's gonna die too. And she was blown away because she wasn't in the Calgary area at the time. So anyways, 3 days later, I go check on Charlie. He's got blood coming out of his nose. So, of course, I call the vets immediately. Of course, now I get 2 vets coming out. And again, apologizing profusely that they didn't come on the Sunday to check on Buddy. They said, no problem. We are going to look after Charlie. He's probably just got a twig or something up his nose. And, of course, now they're apologizing to me about my mom. Because in our small town, they know, Carrie and Faye, they've always hung around together. They are a team. But I didn't like people. And I despised people telling me that they were sorry for my loss. Because I thought, you don't get it. You don't understand. I actually could be with someone who I didn't know because of their loss versus someone that I did know. So anyways, Charlie, we're getting him on antibiotics. We take an x-ray of him to see what's going on in his nose area. Nothing shows. So the vets finally say, why don't we take him in for a scope? So they pick me up in their horse trailer to take Charlie. So I'm like, okay, this is really great service. I'm really happy with this now. Take him in. They've got him. They have found something. All the vet techs are coming over. Vets. I'm like, this is exciting. They know the answer. So we get Charlie in the trailer. I'm like, okay, so what do we do now? She said, well, Carrie, I don't have good news for you. I'm like, okay, what do you mean? Like, you have an answer? She goes, yes, we do. She says it's a fungal infection. And because fungal infections are so rare, everybody was coming over to take a look at it in that live form. So I'm like, so what am I supposed to do? She said, well, you got two choices. You either spend $5,000 and get the surgery done, but it's not a guarantee, or you'll wake up one morning and he will have bled out. Oh my gosh, that night I am bawling my face off, okay? So I pray, because I do believe in God and Jesus, and that is for me. I am praying that he does not take Charlie, because I've already lost my mom and Buddy. Oh, and even when we lost Buddy and my mom that same day, on June the 1st, the girls were saying, you know what, Mom? Buddy died for Grandma so that she could ride into heaven. I'm like, oh, that's like so sweet, but doesn't make me happy right now. So anyways, we go bury my mom's ashes on July the 23rd, and I'm praying every day. And again, I have learned now, you do not pray for yourself. That is the one thing I've learned in life. You do not pray for yourself. Bury her in July 23rd. We come back, and oh my gosh, beautiful day, having a barbecue, a couple beers on the back deck. Charlie comes over, and nothing is coming out of his nose. I'm like, that's right, my prayers have been answered. Next morning, I wake up at 5:30 in the morning. I see blood is everywhere in my paddock area. But the horse is still alive. Call the vets. So vets come. Now I know where the horse has to go for the meat processing truck. So I walk him to death row as his blood is pouring out, and he's eating grass. He is still eating. So Jody does her thing. I couldn't stay with Charlie either. I couldn't stay with this horse that I love so much. So she gives me a call after it's done, and she said, Carrie, I am so sorry. She said, it's done now, but she said it actually took him 3 shots. He did not want to leave. Well, then I'm crying. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was so horrible. Then as I'm feeling sorry for myself in the garage, which I can feel sorry for myself at this time, I think, oh, blood, 3 shots. Could my dogs die? If, of course, they'd lick it. So call the vets again. Sure enough, yes, Carrie, get your dogs in. Well, now I'm ticked off. Because, you know I have dogs. You couldn't have told me that. So call in the dogs, wait for the meat processing truck to come pick up Charlie, because I don't want to see any of that. Go out 300 feet of hose I have to go with the water to spray down all the blood. Now, at this time, it is raining. I am spraying blood, and I am yelling and screaming at the top of my lungs at God. I'm like, you got to be kidding. For all the times that I've loved this life, this is how you're showing me not to do this business? So I am just ranting and raving, and I can't tell you to this day what happened. However, I know I continued forward, and I moved on. And so many things I think we're supposed to go through everything to prove how tough we are to get through it. Because if a dream was easy, everybody would be doing it. And there's no difference between you and I. There's no difference. We have got a sign, which again, most people say the sign is, that's my time to quit. But the sign is actually, how tough are you to move through it? So after Charlie dies, then we have Pepper, which you guys have already heard of. Now it was just time because his leg was so bad. So the people who actually gave him to me came and took him, and they put him down at their own property, which was beautiful, and they said it was beautiful even to watch him die peacefully. So I thought, okay, that's beautiful. Then with my Poppy, completely different story. He had a pelvis problem, but I didn't know what it was. All I knew is he was lame. The vets kept telling me, exercise him, poor horse. Finally, I get a vet. They say, do you want to bring him over to us? Trailer him over there. They said, is a vet done an internal yet? I said, no. So they do an internal. They go, oh my gosh, he broke his pelvis. For how long that had been going on, I don't know. But when I had to put him down in this 8-week period, the day I decided to put him down, and I'm bawling my face off because the horse won't move. I'm by myself, Sid's at work. I have to take a whip. And again, just behind him, not on my horse, of course. I have to give him the energy to make him move over to death row. And it took me an hour to move him over there so he could die. It's just been a hell of a journey. It took me a year to recover from being numb, but with the help of Carolyn, actually, because she irritated me, because she called me all the freaking time wanting to talk. And it really ticked me off, because I didn't want to talk to another human being. I was kind of like a hermit in my own place trying to make this stupid business role. Finally, after a year, I start coming out of it. I'm feeling fantastic. This is okay. We can all do this. My great friend, Epi, the one who does energy, he dies a year and a month later after all of this. And this time, now we're mad. He was only 52 years old. And he died from a post-pounding accident. The post-pounder itself broke in half and hit his leg. So it's like he was the only guy in my life after my mom passed away. I mean, Carolyn just annoyed me because she called me. But Appy was the only other human being I was trusting at the time besides my family. And he was the one helping me deal through all of this because he says, I don't understand why you've had to go through so much loss. But he said, maybe you're supposed to take a look at using younger horses. I'm like, no way. I'm not a trainer. I cannot look at younger horses. And he goes, I think you can. I think this is where you're supposed to be in your next stage in life. And you'll see when you see the slide, in this year, I had a 4-year-old and 2 5-year-olds that I was working with, plus a 9-year-old. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I went to Nikki Flendra. She does Liberty training, and I think down here you guys can maybe call it Double Dan. Is that what you? Double Dan horse. Yeah, exactly. Because my thing in life now, I don't have epi. I have no energy. I don't know how to work with horses in that level. I need them to be completely trained in my eyes. So I give Nikki a call because I know her very well because of my past days. I'm like, Nikki, I have no horses left because I don't. But I need to build horses as these donation horses are coming in. I need to understand how to connect differently with these horses because for me to trust and them to trust me, I know I've got to do it different. I can't just be doing groundwork with a freaking noodle. She goes, no problem, Carrie, come on down. She goes, you can use my horse and we'll make this work. And I have to tell you, I did Liberty for that whole year that I was numb, and it was the saving grace because it's brought me to a place I never knew I'd be at as a horsewoman, but that connection piece with the horses has been phenomenal. So I do highly suggest any kind of Liberty training that you can do with your horse will be that better connection for you because it's a really different place to be than just doing horsemanship. But bottom line, moral of this story is when you're going through your hell, if you've already gone through your hell, that's your sign to say, how do I get through it? And again, we're here for you the whole step of the way. We are here to help you because the people in your lives, and I mean, bless them all, but they're going to tell you, you can't do this. They're going to tell you this is not possible. My 94-year-old grandma calls me the other day and says, oh my gosh, Carrie, we were sitting around the supper table. We're so proud of you. She said, you're traveling all over the world. You've made this business something that we never, ever believed you could ever do. I'm like, oh, okay, thanks, Grandma, I guess. So just know your sign is always how you move through it. Always move through it because you are no different than myself. We can all do this amazing, purposeful, real, humbling business and be privy to helping another human being on this earth. So after my mom passes away, 2 weeks later, I get this email from a lady who has a horse that she thinks would be fantastic in our equine assisted learning programs. However, in this letter, because I think, whoo, she's a little cuckoo. Because in this letter she states, first of all, the horse has been rescued twice. Once from an actual rescue, and the other from a horse shelter actually landed on her back and ripped her from her wither all the way to her back open. So wide, wide, wide. Most people would have put her down, but the people who actually kept her decided, no, we're going to get her back to health again. So also, she's 4 years old and she's never been ridden. I'm like, oh my goodness, this lady is just a little crazy. My husband comes home that night and I'm like, Sid, you have got to read what this lady sent me. And I normally don't have Sid read all my business stuff, but this one really floored me. So he sits down and he reads it. He goes, babe, he goes, you got to sit right back down and read it again. I'm like, no, I don't need to. He goes, yes, honey, you do. So I sit down and I read it. As I'm reading it, oh my gosh, her name is Faye. Same name as my mom, and of course it's spelled exactly the same way, F-A-Y-E. So of course then I call my brother, my grandma. You wouldn't believe this. They both say, get the horse. Well, I do look at the horse. I do get the horse. However, I'm thinking, I just don't think I want that name, that memory, that piece to be so attached to me. So she comes, first day, she gets caught in barbed wire. What do? Call the vets again, because the vets have been at my place all the time this year, and they just cannot believe that I have another horse issue going on. So they fix her all up, and as I'm kind of growing with her, I'm starting to really dislike her. And which makes me really sad because that's where I needed to be. So I was actually trying to get rid of her because I didn't believe that she fit into this EAL program. And it actually wasn't until one of these facilitators who has a gift of actually working with animals and horses started to tell me that this horse wants to help me, that she wants to give her big heart to me, and Faye's starting to communicate with me in all these different ways, and I bawled and I released like no tomorrow, and that's when my big aha in this life and how all of our energy and how our horses do communicate with us work. So, you know, bottom line, everyone, it's only your dream if it's hard, because if it ain't hard, it's not your dream.